The following program is brought to you by Bruce Telecom and Whiteman TV.
So I grew up in a small reserve in northern British Columbia, a little place called Kitimat, BC. I am First Nations, born and raised into the Haisla Nation. You may have heard of Kitimat, it's been in the news lately. With that Enbridge pipeline that they're wanting to pump from all the way from Calgary to the west coast of BC. Well, they're going to pump it right into the ocean, right where that community is that I grew up in. There's a lot of division about it. A lot of people think that it'll bring a lot of good jobs and whatnot. But the only problem is that when the spill does happen, it's going to destroy a whole way of life of First Nations people in that area. But not only that, a lot of the regular folk too like to enjoy their ocean as much as you probably like your waterfront here. Imagine a big tanker spilling a bunch of oil in your bay here. Wouldn't be a very nice thing, would it? There's all this talk if a spill happens. It's not if, it's when. Anyhow, that stuff is happening right now in my hometown. I grew up there from a teenager onward. I used to have this conversation with a teenage friend of mine in this little park overlooking the ocean and the mountain and the trees. At the ripe age of 13, we talk about what it'd be like to move down to the big city of Vancouver, which was about an 18-hour drive from where we were located. We had this notion growing up in a small town that because it was a small town, you couldn't do anything because everybody knew who you were and everybody knew what you were doing, so you could never get away with anything. We thought if you moved down to the big city, nobody know who you were, so you could do anything you wanted and you could get away with anything. The logic was that simple. My friend got down to the city of Vancouver at the ripe age of 17, ended up hooking up with the wrong people in the wrong place at the wrong time, and grabbed a gun and did a armed robbery at a convenience store. And he got caught, he got thrown in jail, spent some small amount of time being a young offender, and it was his first offense, so they only gave him a few years in a small penitentiary for underagers. The problem with prison is it doesn't teach you how to be a better man. No, it teaches you how to have a chip on your shoulder against the man. So those few years that he was locked up, he thought about what he'd done, and with all these other people that he was sitting there with, left that place with a chip on his shoulder, and they released him into the streets of Vancouver, and he went back to that same convenience store and pulled another armed robbery. He got caught, he got thrown in jail, except this time he was an adult and he had to do some hard time. Fast forward 20 years later on this small reserve, Kitimat, a beautiful sunny day on this little dirt road right by the park that we used to sit there and talk about our childhood dreams about what we wanted to be when we grew up. And he was there, this tall, thin, brown-skinned, handsome Indian man with tattoos up and down his arms made from the ink of a ballpoint pen done with a needle that he stabbed himself with over and over again. My friend Terry. I looked him in the eye and I said, "How you doing, man?" He said, "Well, I'm free and I'm alive. I'm free, I'm alive." And I asked him, "So what are you going to do with yourself now?" And he said, "Well, I want to be a singer in a band. I want to be a singer in a band." I walked away from him and I thought to myself, I'm going to write a song for my friend Terry, and I did. This is called "I Toe the Line." My mama raised me with the best best of intentions, miscast youth, I spent it in detention. Kicked up the dirt like rock and roll. Ain't nothing now that could save my soul. I told a line, I told a line, I told a line. I told a line, I told a line, I told a line. I seek out the darkest alleys in life, pull on the braids of trouble and strife. Policemen know me by my first name. I've never tasted love, just love raising Cain. I told a line, I told a line, I told a line. I told a line, I told a line, I told a line. All my courage and I swallowed all my fear. I burned many bridges, gonna shed tears. I bottled all my courage, swallowed all my fear. I burned many bridges, gonna shed tears. Bottled all my courage and I swallowed all my fear. I burned many bridges, gonna shed tears. I bottled all my courage and I swallowed up my fear. Burned many bridges, gonna shed no tears. Shed no tears, shed no tears, shed no tears. I told a line, I told a line, I told a line. I told a line, I told a line, I told a line. Standing at the edge of this precipice of hell, looking down in this deep dark well. Eyes look up to the angel above. Cast me down your face of love. I told the line, I told the line, I told the line. I told the line, I told the line, I told the line. I told a line, I told a line, I told a line. I told a line, I told a line, I told a line. Thank you so much. My name is Arthur Renwick. We got Harrison Kennedy coming up next. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Thank you.
The preceding program was brought to you by Bruce Telecom and Whiteman TV,